Now I'm ready to read and write. I missed a parenthesis. There we go. So I am going to read a character from the input and then write it onto the socket. So I'll create a variable called character. And then I'll just do this until I kill my client. So I'm going to read in a variable, and I basically read in a lowercase letter. And so I print out that to the screen, and I prompt the user to put in a character. I'm going to then get the character from the user, and then I'm going to send that character on my socket. Again, I can look up these functions in order to find out what I need to include to use them. And any of them will do, any of the references, and this one tells me that this is part of standard I/O. So I need to include standard IO.h. And I have to make sure I spell things correctly. Likewise, I can look up send if I've forgotten the function parameters. And send requires tops.h and socket.h, which I already have. It takes the socket, the place where you have the data that you want to write on the socket, then the length of the socket or the data, and then any flags, which we don't have any flags on this one. So I am sending a character, and the number of bytes in a character is size of char. So that sends it off to the server. And now I need to read what the server returned. So to do that, I use receive. Again, I'm receiving on the client socket, which is the one that's connected, and I read in the character that the server has returned into my character variable. And again, I have to specify the size. It's just like send. And I have no flags set. And then I'm just going to print that character out to the user screen. Now, whenever I type in the character, I hit the new line to tell it to enter, and that causes it to do the read. So I need to also get that new line character so that doesn't actually get sent off to the server. I don't want the server receiving a new line. So I go ahead and read that new line character, and I am going to print it out on the screen so that we get a blank line in between each of our characters. Well, not a blank line. We get a new line for each of our characters. At this point, I'm done. I've just read and write. It's going to go through this over and over again, asking for a character, reading it, sending it to the server, reading what the server sends back, and writing that. So the last thing I need to do is to close my sockets. And as I mentioned before, get address info actually creates the memory for server address, so we want to free up that memory address. And we use free address info to do that. So I am done, except I'm pretty sure memset required string.h. Let me have a look. I tend to find the Linux ones easier to read. Yes, it's string.h, so I will include string.h. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to show you what happens if you don't include string.h or any of the other libraries that you're missing. So I'm going to call this executable client. So I do -o client and I compile it. And you'll see that it says implicit declaration of function close. It'll say implicit declaration of function memset. So that implies to me that I have not included a library that is needed for memset. I have missed one for close as well, and also for the use of true. So let's go back and fix those. So I know I need string for the memset. I need something for close, so let's look for close. Close requires unistandard.h. And I need the Boolean. It's probably bool.h. Here we go, standard bool.h. So now let's try compiling it again. That time it compiled. Alright, so let's try running it over here. This is the same directory. So if I better start my server. That we built in the previous videos. And now I'll run my client. Oh, see, here we go. Connect failed, connection refused. So if that happens, it's most likely that I'm trying to connect on the wrong socket. Let me have a look at what my server socket was. So it means that what I've tried to connect to isn't accepting connections. Aha, my server was on 7879. My client was on 6789, so they're not going to talk to each other. So let me change this to be the same as my server. Otherwise, it's not going to get a connection because there's no socket there. They're not listening for a connection. Now it's made the connection. You can see there's no fail. You can see why p-error can be quite helpful. So the connect fail is what I wrote, and then it added the connection refused. So I'll just try a lowercase k, and it comes back with an uppercase K, lowercase l, uppercase m. Okay, so we can see that the server is sending back the capitalization. And that is all there is to it.